Ever hear the saying, experience is the best teacher? It's a philosophy embraced by grade schools across Iowa, where students are learning how nature is integrally involved in the food they eat every day.
Organizers are hoping that planting seeds will eventually lead to an appreciation for the environment. The first step is taking the indoor curriculum outdoors.
And that first step often involves getting your hands dirty.
There are many ways we learn.
A helpful worm.
For a child, learning comes through discovery, which often involves getting your hands a little dirty. When is the last time you looked at a worm and were blown away by the way it moved? Could there be a more exciting way to learn about the world you live in? Or a better time to plant the seeds that will produce a greater understanding and appreciation of how food is grown?
Well, we're just trying to instill some sense of food coming from the earth, and you can do it yourself, and you don't have to always go to the supermarket for your tomatoes.
"100 years ago, a little over 30% of the labor force in the United States were farmers, but today less than 2% of the population farms. With that downward trend, there is concern that the disconnect is growing between the farm gate and the dinner plate.
The primary goal is to bring ripe produce to the schools so they can taste it and pick it when it's ripe and understand the really good flavors and nutrition of eating produce.
Ray Myler is passionate in his belief that people should have a better understanding of how food is produced. He has donated his time and equipment to till the soil for over 30 Metro Garden plots. As a member of the Isaac Walton League, Ray is just one of the 67,000 men and women in Iowa who belong to a variety of conservation organizations. They are people who donate their time, their money, and their skills to establish wildlife areas and garden plots for students in urban schools.
You know, it really makes a whole lot of sense to take ground that's not being used and plow it up, plant it, get neighborhood groups or church groups or school groups involved so that people learn what their grandparents all knew how to do. So these kids learn that they can grow their own food.
According to the website, gardenabcs.com, there are over 80 school and community garden grants that are available nationwide. The purpose of the grants are to not only help people have a better understanding of what it takes to produce food, but to also encourage them to make healthy choices when it comes to eating and to promote the importance of protecting the environment.
Tell me about butterflies and what do they do?
Well, butterflies are pollinators, and if we didn't have pollinators, we wouldn't have all this awesome food in our garden. Because what they do is they take the pollen from the plants and it sticks on them, and then they go over to other flowers and they rub it on that flower, and so the seeds grow.
Besides learning how important a healthy environment is to food production, the students get to sample the fruits of their labor and experience the rich flavors found in food that has been allowed to ripen on the vine.
All right, so here's a good question for you. Before you learned this, if you wanted salsa, where did you have to go?
To the store.
To the store, exactly right. But did you go to the store to pick this stuff up?
No.
It came right from your
Garden.
You guys are fantastic, and you guys got to go outside, be out.
Hands-on, I think, is so important, and really, you know, I can give them a lesson. I can read them a book all about, let's say, butterflies. I can read them, or bees. I can read them a book, and they can learn all about bees and find answers in books. But when we actually go outside, the other day we're out in the prairie, and three of my students were looking really close, and there were a lot of bees on this flower. And one of them, Miss Anderson, they're all excited, and they could see the pollen baskets. So bees have little pollen baskets. It was so cool that they remembered that and made that connection and saw it. So that's that. I mean, I feel like those moments, I think, are the moments that will last. I think they'll have a deeper connection and a deeper understanding.
At schools with garden plots, you're just as likely to find students exploring what's going on in the garden as they are to be playing on the playground. And surprisingly, the gardens are providing other learning opportunities in math, art, and literature.
The benefit to this that's been really surprising, or actually not surprising, when you get kids excited about things, things improve. And their scores are improving in the schools. And so this is, not only are we educating them about conservation, but we're also helping them in higher learning as well.
We had different jobs in the garden, like watering, weeding.
And what they're doing with kids to teach them about the outdoors and about food and things that kids in cities, I think, lose a lot of. I think it's just one of the great attributes of the school.
Having a garden is important, and we learned a lot from it.
Good for you.